welcome to our candidate forum, and we appreciate you guys coming out and taking the time out of your night to get to know the candidates. My name is George Peppas. I'm the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to go ahead and say thank you to all of our sponsors. We have our headline sponsor, Orange County Association of Realtors, our gold, Cox Communication, Southern California Gas Company, the toll roads. Silver is RRM Design Group. Community is Capistrano Mazda, Plaza Art Gallery, DCS Environmental, Whittingham Public Affairs Advisor. Refreshments are brought to you guys by Breakwater Events and Catering, so thank you for that. The venue is also provided from the City of San Juan, so we appreciate that as well. Fred Swagels will be live streaming the event for the Capistrano Dispatch and recording the event by Performance Production Services. And I would also like to introduce our moderator for the night, Jim Taylor.
So just a couple of rules for the candidate forum tonight. First off, it is being recorded. Jonathan from Performance is recording it. So please turn off all your cell phones. If you turn the cell phones off, pagers if you have them. And no recording, that would be great. The San Juan Chamber of Commerce claims copyright ownership of any tapes or transcripts produced. This is a nonpartisan event, so please, no campaigning of any kind. You guys all got the memo. Any campaign literature, buttons, T-shirts, flags, banners. If you have them, if you could just go ahead and take them out front. There's a table, or you can put it back in the car. All the candidates have been informed of tonight's format ahead of time, including the one change that you all agreed on, so thank you for that. Questions have been submitted from the public, and they've been screened. No candidates have been given advanced copies of the questions. This will all be new to them. We will not be taking any additional questions tonight from the audience nor the candidates. However, after the event is over, we'll have time for a meet and greet between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. All questions will come from me. Candidates, please direct all of your answers to the audience. Each candidate will be given 1 minute for an opening and 1 minute for a closing statement and 1 minute for each question. The timekeeper, the beautiful Jennifer Pointer, she will notify each candidate when there's 30 seconds left by waving that yellow card. So when you get 30 seconds, to get the yellow card, you know you got 30 seconds. When you get the red card, the time is up. So please stay within your allotted time frame. San Juan Capistrano Chamber reserves the right discretion to remove anyone from the event and or property due to misconduct. So please, no booing, shouting, interruptions, name calling. Especially the booing. I mean, I get enough of that at home. I don't want to hear that here. The candidates will be asked about issues. However, candidates does not bind, pledge, or agree to disagree to the issue without further information. So speak from your heart. This is your opportunity to get your message out without worrying about debating and rebuttals. Just answer the questions. That would be great. To introduce the candidates from District 2, Troy Bourne. District 3, Joyce Anderson. Joyce Anderson, Derek Reeve, Carrie Ferguson, Cody Martin, and Robert Hagstrom, write-in candidate. District 4, John Taylor. There are 3 candidates not in attendance tonight. They declined to appear: Kim McCarthy, Pam Patterson, and Jeff Vasquez. So are you guys ready to get started? So if we can start, Troy, with an opening statement. You have 1 minute.
So my name is Troy Bourne. My wife and I moved here when we first got married. Our family's probably been here a little bit longer than that. We have kids. Our oldest kid just graduated from San Juan Hills High School. We still have 2 boys at San Juan Hills. We have a couple of girls right here at Marco Forster, and we have one at San Juan Elementary. All of our kids have gone through San Juan Elementary Spanish immersion program, so we've got a family of Spanish speakers. My background is in accounting and business management. I work with a company that operates retirement centers, senior care communities is what they're referred to technically in the state of California. And so I spent most of my career doing that. That job requires me to work with cities, and so I have some experience working here in San Juan Capistrano, but with other great cities in California too. And I feel like some of those experiences, seeing what we do well and maybe other areas where we can improve, benchmark to other cities, gives me some perspective to maybe improve some of the things that we could do better here. Thanks for coming tonight and being the small part of our community that's willing to really invest in this and be informed voters. And I hope that you'll take what you learned tonight and share it with the rest of the community who might not have been able to come.
Thank you, Troy. Joyce, 1 minute.
Joyce Anderson, and I have lived here for over 20 years, and my husband and I raised 2 great kids. I was fortunate enough to be a stay-at-home mom, and I volunteered in I was on the board of the Little League, the Girls Softball League, recently Mission Fest. My kids went to the mission, so I was very involved in the Basilica. I worked Sarah's Pantry, and then there was a time where I had to go back to work to help supplement my husband's income. And now, because of my passion for this city, I thought, I'm gonna run. I love this city so much. I've been involved for so long. I've been away a few years, but when I dug deeper into what's going on in this city, it overwhelmed me. The lawsuits, the running out of meetings, the people that are not voting. So I really wanted to get back involved and put my heart and my soul into the city that I love so much.
Thank you, Joyce. Derek, 1 minute.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming in. My name is Derek Reed, and I am running for re-election in District 3. And I have been a resident in San Juan Capistrano for 20 years and been on the City Council for the past 8. If I'm fortunate enough to be selected by our residents to serve another 4 years, I will pledge to you that I will secure additional law enforcement officers for our city, continue to support individual property rights while mitigating larger developments of very high density, increase parking in the downtown, focus on traffic flow, and do all of this while balancing the budget by never raising taxes. My name is Derek Reed. Thank you for considering honesty, independence, and Derek Reed for District 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Carrie, 1 minute, please.
Good evening. I'm Carrie Ferguson, and I want to thank all of you for this opportunity to share ideas. The next 4 years will define our city for the years to come. I want to bring people together to do great things for our city. Developments that fit our city's historic character, beautiful hotels, restored historic buildings, performing arts center, unique place to gather and dine and shop. A skate park and sports fields for our youth, effective solutions for homelessness and sober living home abuses, smart solutions for traffic flow, and reliable water at fair rates, a place to honor our first people, the Ahashiman, and a continuation of our equestrian culture and traditions. I'm proudly endorsed by numerous legislators and city council members, as well as our most distinguished Commissioner Ilsa Burns. I listen to you, and I work for you, and I ask for your vote.
Thank you, Carrie. Cody, your opening statement, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start off by thanking everyone here who came tonight and the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this. My name is Cody Martin. I am a lifetime resident of San Juan Capistrano. I go to Saddleback College and study political science. I'm running for city council because I love our community and I want to give back to it. I would really believe that a skate park would be a great asset for the children who live here. And I think we need to end the animosity on the city council and start bringing people together, not tearing people apart. I love this community. I'm going to protect the general plan while also supporting developments that work with our city. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cody. Robert.
I am the write-in candidate for District 3. I am a commissioned military officer, retired after 20 years of active duty. I have a Master of Public Administration degree. I'm retired from the Federal Civil Service, and I'm old enough to draw Social Security. What I want is an honest City Council election in District 3. Pam Patterson left her home in District 5 and took up residence in District 3 just in time to run for the City Council seat reserved for District 3. I doubt that Pam Patterson will stick around any longer than necessary. I believe that Pam Patterson will return as soon as possible to her home in District 5. I believe a vote for Pam Patterson is a vote to give away to Kim McCarthy your right to be represented by someone who actually makes a home in District 3. All the other candidates live in their own district. But here in District 3, we have someone who does not belong. Thank you.
John, your opening statement.
Good evening, residents of San Juan Capistrano. Thank you for taking the time to hear our candidates this evening. This is the most important election the city has faced in many years. The decisions that will be made in the next 4 years will have a direct impact on the quality of your life here in San Juan Capistrano. I decided to run for city council because I became very concerned about what was going on in city council and that the concerns of our residents were not being heard. I want to get our city back on track. I want our next generation to inherit a city with less crime, less traffic, less lawsuits, less expensive water, and a brighter future for all our residents. Thank you very much for being here. I'm John Taylor.
All right, thank you, candidates. Now we'll begin with the question portion. You have 1 minute to answer. I would like to start with Carrie. Carrie, if you're elected, what are your top 2 priorities?
My first priority has to be public safety. That includes working on issues of homelessness and sober living. Those are included. I do believe we need at least one more officer. I think it's really important, and I think we need to make that a priority. I think we could also use more help in our code enforcement area. My second priority is the development of our city. What I hope for and wish for is development that fits its space, that honors our history, and that looks like it was always there. And if we can accomplish that, I think we will have created something really wonderful and that will last for many, 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 many years, as our mission has.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Cody, if elected, what are your 2 top priorities?
My number 1 priority is to bring this city council together. Right now, there is too much fighting on the city council. There is so much animosity in the city. I really believe that we should be able to disagree without thinking anything less of the person. Right now in the city council, there is a lot of this, it's my way or the highway idea, and that's not how this is supposed to be in America. We're all supposed to be able to work together, and my number 1 priority in San Juan Capistrano City Council will be to bring people together and work with the community. My number 2 priority is to get a skateboard park built for our children. We don't do enough for our kids, and I really believe that a skateboard park would be a good use for them. Thank you.
Robert, your top 2.
I'm the write-in candidate for District 3, and I'm on the write-in candidate list, if you want to ask for it at the polls. My number 1 priority is, as the city council has taken too much time to resolve the 2 conflicting building codes we have downtown. The lawyers love to quote the conflicting codes when they bring lawsuits against the city. Number 1 is to get those building code combined. As it turns out, the homeless is a major problem in San Juan and other cities. We need to get a city council that is going to pay attention to solving the homeless problem in San Juan Capistrano. It could be done without costing the residents anything, because we voted back in May and June to give millions of dollars to that 4-star hotel developer, and we could, as far as I'm concerned.
John, your top 2.
Okay, my top 2. Number 1, the traffic issues in our town. I've been standing out on the corner waving to a lot of folks the last couple of days from the period of 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and from 5 to 6 p.m. And I tell you what, I've been stuck in that traffic as much as you have, and it really needs to be worked on. So that would be my top priority, solve that issue, and part of that is solving the ghost train issue. And I believe it can be done. I believe there is a solution for it. It just takes focus. My other top issue would be balancing our budget. And to do that, what we have to do is we have to get 2 hotels completed in our downtown so that we can get the TOT, transient occupancy tax, for our community. That will be the most important thing for our community to pay our bills.
All right, Troy, your top 2 priorities.
Before I jump into those, I just want to say that I love what Cody said about taking the contention down a little bit at City Council. I think we can do a lot more than 2 things if we can work together a little bit better than we have been at the City Council, and I'm committed to doing that. I like what he said about that. 2 issues that I would want to focus on, particularly in District 2, and these unique district elections allow us to focus on some things that are a little bit specific to our district, but these issues I think impact us all. The first are some traffic and circulation issues. Straightening or take a highway and removing that choke point there that's keeping our families from being able to take their kids to the high school and back. It's been long overdone. We've had groups here who have fought that, but that needs to happen for the families. And then removing the toll road that right now is being studied to rip through our open space in District 2 and having that removed from the toll road plan. So those 2, I would call that one, some circulation and traffic priorities. And second, District 2 is also home to our equestrian riding park, which most of you are probably aware suffered a very significant setback a few weeks ago with a legal settlement that jeopardizes not only our city's finances, but also the ongoing viability of that park and the equestrian community around it. And I'm committed to working out a long-term solution there. I think it's in the best interest of the city.
Julie, what are your top 2 priorities?
Well, when I first joined the city council to run, I dug deep. I read everything. I even read the 656 budget. There is no money because of all these lawsuits. I personally believe that we need to calm the city down, as Cody and John said, and bring new faces and new opinions to the city. However, I did also learn that the most important thing is the traffic. The traffic, that's all I've heard about. Well, if I become city council, the first thing I am going to do is meet with the traffic commissioner at the city and find out more about why the lights aren't synchronized. Why do we have so much traffic? What about the ghost train? So I do need personally to learn more about that. Thank you.
And Derek, if elected, what are your top 2 priorities?
Well, my first priority has been to add law enforcement, because that's a big issue right now. Not just in San Juan, but in all the, particularly in the beach communities, issues related to homeless and secondary collateral crime. So I'm glad this election process seems to be going well, because now we have council members who are agreeing with me. We really need, in order to make anything happen, my second priority, which arguably is my first, is financial. We need to balance the budget by not raising taxes, and in order to do that, in order to maintain the goals that we want to have, we need reoccurring revenue. Get the hotels online, get these other businesses online. And once we have that, then we can improve the traffic flow on Del Obispo and other parts of the city. So my emphasis has always been fiscal austerity, and with that, we can bring all those other things to fruition.
Thank you, candidates. That wraps up question 1. You guys did great. We're going to start question number 2. I'm going to start with Derek. What is your position on Proposition 13?
Since I've been on the council, I actually sponsored a council action item in support of the way it is of Proposition 13. In fact, I wrote it, and that was later adopted. We were the first city that did it, and then the firestorms after that throughout the city. I do not believe in a split role, one for residents and then get rid of it for commercial. We are taxed to death in this state as it is, and businesses suffer to a great extent, which of course affects all of us. And so I absolutely passionately keep Prop 13 the way it is, hands off Prop 13. Thank you.
Carrie, your position on Proposition 13.
I'm going to be really boring. I say hands off Proposition 13 and don't mess with it. I remember when Proposition 13 came in, and I remember the years prior to that, when we were about taxed out of our home. And it was not, and my parents as well. It was punishing. It was 3%. And think about if you had 3% of your appraised value now. It would destroy home ownership in our state. So yes, I'm 100% against changes.
I completely agree. We need to support Proposition 13 as the way it is. It's already hard enough to move into California and buy a home, and we don't need to make it any harder. Right now in California, it's really hard to move in for young people like me and buy a home, and I don't personally believe that's fair, so I'm 100% in support of Prop 13.
Robert?
As a homeowner since 1992, I have benefited from Proposition 13. And when I bought my house, I paid too much for it, but the price came down, and I fought the assessment and got it down, and in 1 year it popped right back up. But in general, Proposition 13 is beneficial to San Juan Capistrano.
John?
I was endorsed by the Orange County Taxpayers Association because of my strong stance on the Prop 13 proposal, and the biggest part of the proposal is to take the Prop 13 protections away from commercial properties. I'm a commercial property manager in Brea. I manage properties for one family for the last 35 years. We pay $370,000 a year with a 2% increase every single year. What would happen if that took away those Prop 13 protections? That money and that cost will go directly to the businesses that occupy those buildings that I manage and all the buildings in California. Think about what happens then. There'll be a mass exodus out of the state of California for businesses. They're going to leave, and it would, I believe, bring on another recession for our business community. So I would strongly oppose any movement in the Prop 13 protections. Thank you.
Joy, what's your position on Prop 13?
Well, I appreciate what John just said relative to commercial properties and the need to protect businesses. But my background, as I mentioned before, is in senior communities, and so we deal regularly, and I have for the last 15 years, with our residents who by and large are on fixed incomes or relatively more fixed than they have been at other times in their lives, yet are dealing with rising costs around them. Just the cost of living, but their health care and so forth. San Juan Capistrano, particularly because we have so many senior citizens who live here, I'm for leaving Prop 13.
And Joy, you get the last word on Prop 13.
Thank you. I totally agree with leaving it alone. I happen to be in real estate, so that question for me, I can go on and on and on about it, but I believe that Proposition 13 will not help the new homeowners. It will not help the taxes, and I vote no on that issue. Thank you.
All right, Cody, new question. If you're elected, how will you work with the Chamber of Commerce?
If I'm elected, how will I work with the Chamber of Commerce? To me, that is a fairly easy question, and I'm going to give that same answer I've been giving for working with people. In San Juan Capistrano, among the City Council, there is a sentiment that it is my way or the highway. It's time to stop that sentiment. We are all human beings, we are all Americans, and we need to work together. So I will work with the Chamber of Commerce just as I work with anyone else, with passion and respect. And that's all we need to ask for, is to be treated with passion and respect. Thank you.
Robert?
Honesty goes a long way towards making everything smooth. And I think treating the Chamber of Commerce with respect and honesty is the way the city government should be treating everybody. And that's the way I would approach it.
John?
What I would do as a city councilman, first of all, would be to get these Chamber of Commerce in our downtown as a visitor center and a chamber at the same place, so that when people are coming from out of town, they know where they're going to go, and that would help promote businesses. It would make things run much smoother. Right now, it's tucked away on a back street on La Matanza and in Mission Flats, and it's hard to find, and it needs to be visible. The other thing I would make sure is that I would hope that the new director of the Chamber of Commerce would walk around town and visit every business on a regular basis. I'm not sure that that's being done, because I know there's a lot of businesses that are not members, and I think if they are reached out to, that will have a stronger and more fruitful business community. So those are the two things I would do. Thank you.
Troy, how would you work with the chamber?
I'm committed to a daily breakfast at my house. You guys can maybe help pack lunches while we feed the dog or something like that. No? We talk a lot about strengthening the financials of our city, and most of it focuses, and probably rightfully so, on getting the lawsuits out of the way and some of those cost overruns. But as an accountant, I look at an income statement, there's two sides to that, right? One is, yes, let's get inappropriately high costs lowered or removed. But at the same time, we have to invest in the revenues that our city needs in order to run. And when we say we want to hire more police officers, or we want to invest in our sports fields and do some of these other things, that requires us to have a strong revenue base, which means a healthy business community. And I think part of that is partnering with the chamber to say, how can we do that? How can we get these businesses, welcome new businesses that want to be in San Juan Capistrano, and have a door open that says, we love great businesses that fit with our town. And then also work with existing businesses to say, how can we help you? How can we help you grow and strengthen, so that we can strengthen that side of our income statement, not just remove the cost overruns?
Joyce.
I'm embarrassed to say that I have never joined the Chamber of Commerce. And I'm sorry about that, because I've been involved in the city for so long, but I respect everything they do. I will go tomorrow and join, and then after that, if I don't get elected tonight, I'm going after Jennifer's job.
Derek, how will you work with the chamber?
I would keep Jennifer in her job, first of all. I think to a couple things. John brought up the point about getting the chamber in the downtown. I think that's important. I think continuing our formal relationship of subcontracting, if you will, certain matters to the Chamber of Commerce is important. But really more to Troy's point is, who is the Chamber of Commerce? The Chamber are local businesses. It's imperative for the city of San Juan Capistrano and the residents that make up our great town that you guys are successful, because the more money that you make, the better off we all are as residents, not only from a revenue standpoint, but from just an enjoy life standpoint and to enjoy San Juan. So communication is important, building those relationships and offering any assistance, and maybe even in some unique situation, tax breaks, in order for you to be successful. Thank you.
All right, Carrie, you'll get the last word on this. How will you work with the Chamber of Commerce?
I'm sort of in a unique position because I've had the pleasure of attending and officiating at I think all but one ribbon cutting in the last 4 years. And I think it's been one of the most pleasant and rewarding experiences that I've had on the council, to see a new business begin and to then be able to go back and nurture and see how they're doing. And I'm glad to say, for the most part, they're all still there. I think maybe one or two, but they're mostly still there, and I'm really glad for that. As the years have gone on, and I have just gained more and more respect for the chamber and enjoyed their company, and I'm really happy about the new director, and I think I've learned to really appreciate Jennifer and Claire.
Thank you, Carrie. She's like, why don't you let her keep going on that? Well, in the interest of time, we have to keep everybody to 1 minute. New question, Joyce. We're going to start with you. Why do you want to represent your district, and what can you do for your district?
I want to represent this district because I am very passionate about this city. The more I read, the more I heard about all the horrible things that is happening as far as lawsuits, as far as who's leaving on voting day, who's not at voting day. It amazed me when I looked and saw how many people were absent on voting day, how many people have not showed up today. It's a part-time volunteer job. I mean, you gotta love this city to want to put your heart and soul into it like I do. And I couldn't afford all the beautiful flyers that Derek and Troy and everyone did. And then I took my glasses on and I looked on the bottom and I saw donations, all for the committee of Taylor, Reeves, and Bourne. And I thought, now wonder they could produce so many flyers and mail them out. Well,
Thank you,
I wonder
Joyce.
why.
Joyce,
why-
thank you. Red card. 1 minute. Time goes by quickly. Derek, why do you want to represent your district and what can you do for your district?
Well, thank you. This is a really important election period. And it's really a question of what direction our city is going to go. Are we going to have a positive future advancing our town forward, or are we going to collapse into an oligarchy of the radical fringe? And I really feel it's necessary to keep this city moving forward. And I have that experience, and I want to make sure that rules are applied to everyone. No one, council members should not be picking winners and losers. I always view this almost from a judge standpoint. And there are certain things in the district that are important, such as improving traffic flow and dealing with sober living homes issues and law enforcement issues. And I believe I have that leadership, knowledge, and experience to make that happen. Thank you. Derek Reed for District 3.
Carrie.
As I've traveled around the district and spent time with so many of you, two issues seem to come to the fore, the first being traffic. And I believe there are a couple of things we can do to aid in the traffic. One is what's called a dynamic synchronization that will help us with the ghost train, and it will help the general flow of traffic, which is very important. The second is, let's figure out a way to utilize the trolleys that we now own. We now own 2 trolleys. They're sitting idle all during the school year, and there must be some wonderful route, maybe just up and down Ortega, maybe in a circle, whatever it would take that would take a few cars off the road and get people in the habit of using our resources.
Cody, why do you want to represent your district and what can you do for your district?
First, I'd like to start off by saying, yes, I would be elected by District 3, but it's not about District 3, it's about the entire city of San Juan Capistrano. I would represent District 3, but I'm going to do my part for every district in San Juan Capistrano. That includes 1, 2, 4, and 5. So it's not about only the voters, it's about everyone who lives here. I am going to get a skateboard park built. I'm going to bring the community together by not attacking people. And when we don't attack people, we also don't get into lawsuits. I'm going to protect the history of San Juan Capistrano and our general plan. Thank you.
Robert.
When elected, I will represent the voters of District 3 for the next 4 years, voting to implement what they want. I don't have any particular agenda per se, except to vote the way the voters in District 3 want me to vote. And I urge you to vote for an honest candidate in District 3. My name is Robert Hagstrom, Hagstrom. You'll find it listed in the voter's guide and in the letters to the editor.
John.
Well, I'm privileged to be to represent District 4, and like most of my colleagues to my right here have said that we'll obviously represent all of the city, and all of the city's decisions are critical to us. But I can tell you that District 4 is sort of the heart of San Juan Capistrano. It's the mission. It's tremendously and richly diverse. It is an amazing place. I've knocked on almost every single door in this community, and I've met some of the most amazing people. And I, in the past, might have judged people by their look or something, but I tell you, it's been an eye-opener, and we are so fortunate to live in this beautiful city. And it's, the glass is half full here, folks. There are not that many bad things happening. There's a lot we can do to change it, and I'm very, very happy in the direction that we can take the city, and we're just very lucky to live in this great town. Thank you.
All right, Troy, you get the last word on this. Why do you want to represent your district, and what can you do for your district?
A while ago, I had a conversation with a friend, and I was, to be fair, openly critical of a couple of decisions that our city council had made. One was blocking the Ortega widening. I was pretty upset about that. And then their decision to call for this toll road through the open space behind our neighborhood. And I was kind of worked up about it and expressing some strong opinions to my friend, and she said, well, Troy, to be fair, I'm not going to run, I'm busy raising kids, and you're not going to run, you're running a business, and we're all busy volunteering and doing the things we do, but if we're not willing to engage and dedicate some time to helping out in this way, then it's probably not super fair for us to criticize others who are. And I thought about that, and I thought, you know what, that's probably fair. And then my wife and I talked about it for a while and decided that this was a way that we could invest a little bit more of our time in serving the community. I think that over the last 4 years, we've heard a lot of no coming from the council. No to each other, no to doing things in town, and it seems like a lot of energy and focus has been on how do we mobilize to say no to things. And I do feel that my career, my experience has taught me how to find ways to get to yes on things that the community needs, and I think I can help out that way.
All right, next question is going to be for you, Robert. How will you attract new business development to the city?
What we need to do is stop the lawsuits, and we got to get the city council to combine the code for building in downtown San Juan so that the lawyers don't use the two conflicting codes to file lawsuits against the city and stop all the projects that are going on down there. It's the city council's fault that there's two different conflicting codes, and it's the city council's fault that the lawyers are using it against us. We got to fix that very first thing. And then you're going to build a good environment for the businesses to come to San Juan Capistrano. But we got to fix the code so it's not conflicting, it's not used by lawyers to sue us.
All right, John, how will you attract new business development to San Juan?
Well, one of the biggest impediments to new business in our town is that when a developer or a business is thinking about coming here, they're looking at spending millions of dollars just to get the planning part of it through. And in San Juan, it's a big crapshoot as whether or not that $1 million is going to be well spent or not. So instead, they'll go to San Clemente, where they know that there's a business-friendly environment. They'll go to Laguna Niguel, where they know it's a business-friendly environment. So we have to be business-friendly. We do have a difference, though. We are a historic town, so there's a delicate balance that has to be looked at on every single case. But we need to know, people have to have a knowledge that if they're going to come to our community, and we'd like to have them here, that it can be successful and they can get it done. Thank you.
All right, Troy, how will you attract new business development to San Juan?
One of the first things we need to do is demonstrate to the business environment or to the business community that we can do a deal here in San Juan Capistrano. I've talked to people as I've gone around in open houses and walked door to door. I said, when was the last thing you saw done in town really well? New business, new community, new development in town, and they've gone back to Costco or the opening of the movie theater, these things that really happened decades ago. When we tried to bring our business here to town, a mentor of mine who has a lot more years of experience than me said, Troy, that's a great idea, but San Juan Capistrano is where good ideas go to die. And as a resident of San Juan Capistrano, that's tragically sad. We need to be able to communicate to people that when we find great ideas that our town really needs, we need to find a way to say yes. The hotel downtown, both of those hotels and the problems there are just another kind of data point that shows the business community, even when we want to say yes, we have trouble making it happen, and we need to notch some successes so that we have credibility with the business community.
Joyce.
When I first met with the city manager, he gave me a list of all the properties that are in entitlement, which there are about 12, all the properties that are looking for permits, all the properties, so it's, all that development is there. The entitlement projects, they're pretty much may go through or they may not, but when they're in an entitlement, we have to look at them, and there's quite a few of them. There's the River Market, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I, as city council, would look at each one individually and see how we could bring the most money to our city and still keep the historical feeling of San Juan Capistrano. But there are a lot of developments. There are people looking for permits for everything. So we need to look at all of that.
Derek, how would you attract new business development to the city?
Thank you. Yeah, you know, there's this thing called capitalism, and it works really well if government just busts the hell out. Now, we gotta reduce, that deserves an applause. When I was on the council the first 4 years, I worked with council member John Taylor, and we were reducing regulations. For example, we got rid of design review. We still had a design review process that worked, but we got rid of that extra bureaucracy. When I got reelected, my new colleagues put it right back on. We have the SJC master plan. I was against it from the beginning because it's central planning. So we've got to get rid of them. Get rid of the extra regulations, give more flexibility to businesses, and if you just leave you guys alone, you're going to do what you do best, and that's make money, create jobs, and provide services for our residents. Thank you.
I agree that one of the things that we absolutely have to have for new businesses and others that want to develop in our area is predictability. I think predictability is really what this is about. And if that takes putting two codes together, that's one thing. If it takes repealing, then that's what it takes. That's the first thing. Second thing has to do with the delicate balance that John talked about. And the delicate balance is between keeping this small village atmosphere and this historic feel to our town and not letting things get out of hand. And I think one of the best ways we can do that is for us as council people to keep a relationship with developers. And people think that that's a bad thing, but it's not necessarily, because we affect them as much as they affect us.
Thank you, Gary.
So.
All right, Cody, you get the last word on this. How will you attract new business development to San Juan?
Every new business development must work with our historical base in San Juan Capistrano. There is nothing more important to me than protecting the history of San Juan Capistrano, and we need to make sure our businesses do go along with that. I also think that when we're looking at new business opportunities, we need to work with the community to see what they want. For far too long in San Juan Capistrano, the city council approves developments that the city doesn't necessarily want. So I will make sure that if I'm elected to the city council, I will always get consensus and make sure it's something that the community does want and works well. I also believe that every development deserves a fair process. We cannot say yes or no to a development too early. We need to get the results first and see what the impact is going to be on our community before we definitively say yes or no to any project, because right now we immediately jump to one side or the other too fast. Thank you.
All right, you guys are doing great. We just passed the halfway mark. So Troy, we're going to start with you on this next round. What is your opinion of our current water source?
You know, a decision's been made to sell the water business. So I could opine on whether or not that was a good decision or a bad decision, but I don't think that that's as relevant as speaking about the path forward. We have 3 water districts right now who, while we were told a couple of years ago that nobody would want our water because it's so bad, now we have 3 districts who all are jumping in line trying to get out our water business and offering to provide services to us. That decision is so significant. This is going to impact our families, our household budgets, quality of water for decades into the future. This cannot be a decision that's made on personal relationships or gut feels. There's going to be serious analytical work that goes into making that decision. We need to study multiple rate charts, revenues, expenses, capital investments. My background is in financial analysis. I can do that sort of analysis and make some good recommendations and understand the recommendations when they come to us from third-party providers and some of the support that the county's already offered. So I'm committed to making that an analytical decision so that we get the best outcome and the best water rates for our residents.
Joyce, what's your opinion on our current water
I
source?
couldn't have said it better than Troy, I'll tell you that. It's coming from different places, and the tier thing just totally set everyone off on a fringe. I don't know how long ago we voted the tier, do you know, Carrie, when we did the tier, water tier?
There's a lot of tiers.
If you could actually just direct your responses to the audience.
Okay. So I think we need to look at an alternative and look at other companies and see how, because that's another thing. Besides the traffic, it's the water, it's the electric bill, and everyone's concerned about how all of this is just getting sky high rocket.
Derek?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Yes, your water bill brings a lot of tears. There's no question about that. And I have been an advocate for getting out of the water business for the past 8 years. And initially, I was all alone. It was a very lonely time. But I understood that it's an economy of scale issue. We just don't have enough meters in order to make the water system work for us. It will work with an agency that's devoted to this utility. That's all they do. But for a city with multiple aspects, not enough meters, it doesn't work. I've served I'm frankly the point person on the council on this issue. I served with the mayor on the subcommittee, and I'm really excited about the opportunities that are coming forth. And one thing I can assure you is that your water rate will be as low as it can possibly be once we get out of the water business. Thank you.
Carrie, what's your opinion of our current water source?
I ran on getting out of the water business because I also could see that the economy of scale just wasn't there. We're paying for a 65,000 person water department with 11,000 meters. I also was one of those that championed the refunds, water rates that were improper. And I have spent a great deal of time studying the 3 water companies that we're looking at, and I've also spent about 2 or 3 hours with each of them, questioning them on all sorts of things, including their rates, what their resources are, how they will treat personnel,
Thank you, Carrie.
and how our governance will be.
So Cody, what's your opinion of our current water source?
We definitely need to get out of the water business. We need to continue studying the rates of alternative sources for water, and we need to get the consensus of the community and see what they want, because again, in San Juan Capistrano, there's too much me on the city council, and we really need to work with the community to see what they think is best for them. I also believe that we should never support any water industry that will raise the rates to what they were before. Thank you very much.
Robert?
Water is critical to our environment, to our survival, and we need to make sure that the water source will come from a government entity, not a private entity that's for profit. So we need a non-profit organization to run our water system. If it's economy of scale we need, then let's go for the economy of scale. Let's make sure that our water is sufficient for our needs for for now and for the future.
All right, John, you're going to get the last word on this. What's your opinion of our current water source?
Well, it's one of these very important decisions we have to make in the next 4 years, and that's critical to have an understanding of the history of it in San Juan and the assets that we have here. As ratepayers, we've paid for, we have a bond, we've paid millions and millions of dollars for a very good water treatment plant, and I know there's been a lot of controversy about it, but it actually does produce incredible amounts of water. And I'm sure that's one of the reasons why other water agencies want to own us. But we need to be paid. If we're going to be taken over and purchased, we need to make sure that those assets that our San Juan Capistrano residents get all the money that we're due for those kinds of assets. The other issue is going to be, we're an aging community, and we have aging infrastructure, pipes that are old. How are we going to deal with all that? And that's where we have to really take a deep and hard look at this acquisition, and is it going to be good for our residents and keep our rates down? Thank you.
All right, John, we're going to start with you this time. How are you going to engage the 40% Hispanic population in the upcoming census so they're equally represented in our community?
Well, I'm engaging them now, and a lot of the residents don't speak English, so that's a difficulty. They're fearful of big government and how that's going to affect them. Some of the families I've met, I don't know their immigration status. That's not, that's a federal issue, not mine. But you can tell, they're reluctant to come to the door. I think really the most important part is going to be treating people with compassion and respect. The community are very respectful to me when I've walked the community, and I've actually walked with our mayor, Sergio Farias, and he's introduced me. My Spanish is broken. I can speak a little bit. A lot of the younger kids obviously speak English very well, but to get them involved and engaged in our community is critical. And once we do that, once we reach out, I think the census will be fine. Thank you.
Troy, how are you going to engage the 40% Hispanic population so they're equally represented in the census?
La mayoría de las personas que viven en mi distrito no hablan español, pero sí hay otros que sí hablan español. Okay? When we made the decision to raise our children in San Juan Capistrano, one of the biggest priorities was getting them in San Juan Elementary, where they could learn to speak Spanish fluently. And it wasn't just the language, it was such a gift of bringing our children to that school across the street from the mission. It's a public school, okay? They're interacting with children who come from different backgrounds, okay? Not just from a language standpoint, from a culture standpoint, from a socioeconomic status, and that's really, when you look at the cities around San Juan Capistrano, that's part of what makes this city so darn special, is that we have a mix of people from different backgrounds, different languages. There's a lot about us that is not the same, and that's what makes this city so great. I think we have a great history of working together and bringing together different aspects of our communities if we're willing to engage and do that. I think San Juan Elementary and Marco Forster, this program that they started 15 almost years ago, is a great start to that, and we just need to learn how to do it as adults.
Please.
What was the question?
How are you going to engage the 40% Hispanic population in the upcoming census so they are equally represented in our community?
Well, first we have to get them registered and to vote if we want to involve them in any of the city functions that's going on. Mi parlo italiano, no speak Espanol, no. But we are dealing with the 40% Spanish population, and I believe that we need to engage them more than ever. We need to talk to them and hear their opinions and what they believe in for our city and get them registered.
Derek.
I genuinely can't help but wonder what Ken McCarthy and Pam Henderson would answer that question. Look, the dynamic diversity of our town is one of the important things that makes San Juan Capistrano so special. I don't like to talk about my personal life, but I think in this case, just to give you a little perspective, my wife's Asian, my kids are black. I don't give a damn about your skin color. Okay, I really don't. Yeah. think at the end of the day, whatever your race is, ethnicity, religion, what have you, is that you're a part of San Juan Capistrano, and not to have those barriers, but to be as inclusive as possible. And I think for the most part, San Juan Capistrano, we gotta give ourselves credit. I think we're pretty good at that, and I think we can continue that in the future. Thank you.
Carrie, how are you going to engage the 40% Hispanic population in the upcoming census so they are equally represented in the community?
I look at people and I see people. I don't see colors. I don't see a lot of things. What I think is so wonderful is learning more and more about another person's culture. I've spent 53 years learning about my husband's culture, which is British, which is really a challenge. But I make a pretty good cup of tea now. But I think just reaching out and wanting to know more about this person and that person and wanting to know you, I think that's what's important. I think it's a person-to-person thing that brings people together. So.
Cody.
So in this city council election, we can elect people who want to divide our community, or we can elect someone like me who is going to bring this community together. I'm going to keep saying this. I am going to bring the community together. The way we understand people's struggles is by listening and not saying me all day, but saying, what are your struggles? How are you doing today? Because that is how we bring people together. And I think people don't understand the fact that skin color doesn't matter anymore, and we need to get past that. I believe if we just continue to bring people together by talking with the community, people of different backgrounds can see we're all human beings and work together with us.
All right, Robert, you're going to get the last word on this. How are you going to engage the 40% Hispanic population in the upcoming census so they are equally represented in our community?
As an American, there's no place in public service for a racist. And I get common sense. Every once in a while, what I take away from that is there are people in this city who are racists. They do not accept any other than themselves. And I would not ever vote for Kim McCarthy or Pam Patterson for that very reason alone. If you want to vote for a racist, you've got plenty of choices on the ballot this election. But you don't have to vote for somebody who's going to downgrade the Hispanic population of this city. That's not what we want in this city. We don't want somebody in the city council who's going to degrade the people who live here.
All right, Carrie, we're going to start with you again. How are you going to balance the budget? You have 1 minute.
Gee whiz. Actually, our budget has been balanced. It has to be balanced, and it has been. Really, what is going to help us the most is getting our businesses and the developments that we're looking forward to, the hotels, the Canals Lumber, and some of the other Performing Arts Center, and some of those things up and running. And that is really going to contribute because it's our base, that it's our income that is really important. We run a very lean city, and I was surprised, we think that every lawsuit is on us. Not every lawsuit is something that we have the majority of the expense on. It's not all about lawsuits. A lot of them we actually inherited from the previous council, as a matter of fact.
Cody, how are you going to balance the budget?
So we need to look at alternative ways to increase revenue, which does include listening and looking at smart developments like the hotels that were shut down. I also believe a big part of the budget is we're losing so much money in these lawsuits. And the reason we get into so many lawsuits is because we can't get along, we can't work with other people. So what we need to continue to do is have compassion, We need to give every project a fair chance before we say yes or no immediately. And we need to stop the lawsuits because we're losing so much of our budget to things that shouldn't happen in the first place, like these lawsuits.
Robert?
Our city needs an honest person from District 3 to oppose those who would entangle us in lawsuit after lawsuit. The other cities around us have better income than we do, and we'll have some income from the hotel that's being built for these 2 hotels that are going to be built. But the thing about it is that rebate program, that incentive program, is going to take up a lot of our income and just take it straight out of our district. And it allows that hotel developer to sue us if he doesn't get his rebate. So I'm thinking maybe it's not a good idea to talk about that in public, but it seems to me we could get a rebate from the hotel developer to the extent that we rebate him. Because we are helping him build his hotel, we're maintaining it for 10 years, and we're getting nothing back.
John, how will you balance the budget?
In 2010, when I first came on council, we were just coming out of the Great Recession, and it was quite a time, and we had lost all of our auto dealers and various things like that. You know, we were really struggling. And the most important thing is number one, is a diverse income stream for our community. Meaning, you know, we put hotels, we have car dealerships, we have retail like Costco. We have diverse, so that if one thing hits the economy that affects one type of business, it doesn't cripple our economy. So the most important things right now in the near future is going to be the TOT that comes from the 2 hotels. That'll balance the budget for us. Right now I talked to, and then I'm not saying balance the budget, but we're looking at a structural deficit right now of about $1 million a year. And so we need those 2 hotels built to backfill that.
Troy, how are you going to balance the budget?
I'm not a lawyer, and I'm proud of that. I get to make lawyer jokes because I'm married to a lawyer. She's great. But I want to go back to something said a few minutes ago that said not all of these lawsuits are our fault, and I agree with that 100%. They're a huge ticket item in our budget. The most recent settlement was more than 10% of our top line for a year. Okay, just the one settlement that happened a few weeks ago. When you're going through expenses like that, it's a real struggle to make any budget work. But some of these lawsuits have been our fault. On several of these settlements, the City Council has acted in direct opposition to the counsel they received from their own attorney. So we hire a city attorney. They advise us, and sometimes we've gone and said, well, we don't want to do that. We want to do it this way, and then it ends up in a bad settlement. So some of these are just us being maybe a little bit more stubborn than we need to be and thinking that we know better when we're given prudent legal advice. But aside from cutting costs, I want to go back to the other side of this, is trying to find a way to say yes to great businesses that we do want here, trying to get out of our own way and making it clear that we want to work on the revenues and not just cutting the costs.
Joyce, how are you going to balance the budget?
Well, like I said earlier, I did read the 662-page budget, and there were things in there that I think as a city council we could cut, and we do need revenue. I'm for the 2 hotel developments, for the skate park, and I think we need to look at all those projects that are entitlement, all those projects that want permits, all those projects that want to build here, and look at all of them with a fine-tooth comb as the city council and figure out which project is going to be best for this city, because we need the money.
All right, Derek, you get the last word. How are you going to balance the budget?
Okay, so a little secret that no one's brought up, and I'm going to give it to you, don't share it with anyone. Step number 1, hire a really good city manager. Hire a great staff, because they're the ones that do the hard work and present the budget to us. And we've got a great staff, and the staff before him was great, as John knows. And that's the first thing you do. The number 2 thing is you give direction to staff. Don't raise taxes, don't raise fees, you cut spending. So you pay as you go. It's actually not rocket science. very simple. So when you have a budget year to year or every 2 years, cut spending, and then third, create revenue. And you gotta stop giving lip service to this. You really need, for example, the Kimpton Hotel. It's been about 6+ years. It's still not built, and I'm flat out telling you, depending how this election goes, it may not get built over the next 4 years. And one way to make sure, vote Derek Reed to District 3. Thank you.
All right, candidates, final question. And Derek, we'll start off with you. Derek, do you support or oppose the repeal of Costa-Hawkins?
Can you translate that? Oh, Proposition 10. I am absolutely opposed to rent control outside the context of mobile home parks. If you do this, we have a real housing shortage in the state of California. It's affecting the policy decisions that we have to make in San Juan Capistrano. It boggles my mind the number of politicians in Sacramento that don't understand simple concepts of supply and demand. If we have rent control go into effect statewide, you're actually going to be increasing the shortage of housing throughout the state and making it worse, not to even mention affecting property values, and devastating potentially property values. So I'm absolutely opposed to that. I believe that property rights, I mean that, is a matter of principle, and therefore I do not support do not support rent control, except in the context of rent.
Thank you.
Mobile home park.
Thank you, Derek. Carrie, do you support or oppose the repeal of Costa-Hawkins?
On the surface, when I first read it, I thought, it's going to allow cities to make these decisions rather than the state. And knowing how well the state has made decisions for us, I thought to myself, this is something that's beneficial. However, I had someone who had lived in Santa Monica at the time that rent control come in and talk to me today as I was walking. They said that you wouldn't believe how quickly everything deteriorated, and places got knocked down and rebuilt as condominiums. Places got converted to condominiums, and as good as it sounds, it just didn't work. And so I would have to be, I really have to be against it, even though I don't care for the state making decisions for us.
Cody, you support or oppose the repeal of Costa-Hawkins?
So I do believe that our mobile home parks in San Juan Capistrano, the rent control does need to be protected for our mobile home parks specifically. But as far as the entire state of California, I really do believe this is just more government bureaucracy. When something goes wrong in the state of California specifically, I do not believe the answer is more government bureaucracy. It's actually less. Homeowners should have the right to choose how much they charge people who move into their homes because they bought it themselves. Thank you.
Robert.
Rent control. Who needs it? The people in the mobile home parks have a vested interest in their mobile home. They rent the land, and they can be run out of those mobile homes very easily if you don't have rent control to help them stay in their homes. So I'm supporting the mobile home park owners. No, I don't think I really want to support the mobile home park owners. But the mobile home park residents need the city protection.
John, do you support or oppose the repeal of Costa-Hawkins?
I do not support the appeal, and I'm glad to hear so many people want to support the mobile home park residents. Many of those people are the people that I've been knocking on their doors. About 400 mobile home parks are in my district, and I've seen firsthand the elderly on fixed incomes and how important it is to them. That's one of their major concerns, is that somebody will jack up the price and force them out of their home. And they can't at this point even afford to be able to move the home. So that's a whole different type of thing. But I don't think rent controls are going to do us any good. Developers of new apartment complexes are not going to develop if there's rent controls, so it's just going to cause a further shortage of housing. It's a bad idea. Somebody thought it would be good, but it's not the answer to our housing shortage. Thank you.
Troy, do you support or oppose the repeal of Costa-Hawkins?
I lived in Santa Monica during the period that Carrie was describing in a rent-controlled apartment and saw firsthand, we did all of the improvements from plumbing to painting to windows being repaired because the landlord couldn't afford to invest in anything at all. And that wasn't just true of the apartment that we were living in, but all of the apartments in the entire neighborhood. Broad-based rent control doesn't work because landlords and property owners have no compelling reason to invest in their properties when they can't get a return. I was visiting with the residents of the El Nido Mobile Home Park, which is our district, talking about this and trying to, explain, well, how can you support our rent control inside a mobile home park while not in, more broadly in the city? And the big difference there is that in a mobile home or a mobile estate park, there's a joint investment in the capital, where a mobile home resident is purchasing their trailer, and if you really look at the value, they're arguably investing more capital in that home than the person who owns the underwriting land underneath. And so rent control helps balance that equation so that one capital partner isn't pushing the other consistently out. Where in a standard apartment situation, it's one capital partner and they need to be able to make good on their investment.
All right, Judge, you're going to get the last word on this. Do you support or oppose the repeal of Costa-Hawkins?
Well, I've been to the mobile home parks talking to people. I was on a panel there. And in my heart, I wanted to think, wow, they should be there on a fixed income. They're retired. They want it, but it's a state level. It's not a city level at this time. And I also helped run an office of 130 real estate agents. And the topic yesterday at our meeting was for everyone to oppose the rent control for obvious reasons for real estate.
All right, candidates, that's it for our questions. Now we're going to move to closing statements. I'd like to start with John. You have 1 minute, John.
Okay, well, I want to thank everybody in the audience for being here and listening to us. If you elect me this November, I promise I'll always listen and I'll always be available. As you can see, my opponent won't even face the public and debate, and yet he spreads blatant lies about me on his website and in the newspaper. I will fight to reduce traffic and eliminate the ghost train. I'll fix our parking issues, preserve our history, and lower our water rates. I'm the only candidate to list my personal phone number on my campaign statement. I've been endorsed by every major political office in our local and state government, police and fire organizations, Orange County Taxpayers Association, South Orange County Economic Coalition, and hundreds of our neighbors. Vote for experience, vote for transparency, vote for someone who will listen to your concerns. Vote John Taylor. Thank you very much.
Robert, we're going to switch it up a little bit. Robert, you have 1 minute.
Thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate everybody who's here. I want you to spread the word, talk to your neighbors, tell them about this election is about the future of San Juan Capistrano. And I have to say that if you vote for Pam Patterson, you're voting to give away to Kim McCarthy your right to be represented by someone who actually makes a home in District 3. So I would, it's just bad news to, some of these candidates are really bad. And that's why I got into this contest, to make sure the voters understand that we've got some really bad candidates running for city council right now.
Your closing statement, please.
The animosity in our community and our country needs to stop. This is America, and it's okay to disagree, but we need to come together as a community and recognize that we're all human beings. Half of the candidates up here are incumbents, and half of us in District 3 are not. The community needs change, and a vote for Cody Martin is change. I will always treat everyone with respect, but I will also be my own person. I answer to the voters in the community, not developers with lawsuits in their hands. A vote for Cody Martin is a vote to bring this community together. I will be your champion. I will work for you. Thank you, San Juan Capistrano. I love you. God bless.
Carrie, your closing statement. You have 1 minute.
So you've had a pretty good picture of what we're all about. Now you must choose. Will you choose to see the glass half full, with finite resources to produce limited benefits for our city? Or will you join me in seeing a broader horizon, one that has expanding resources, not because of higher taxes, but because of greater opportunities through wise development and smart allocation of the resources that we have? My opponents are about having less and providing less for our city. I'm about creating more prosperity for our residents in a city that meets our needs for safety and good roads, values our youth, honors our history, and looks to be a part of the future. If you feel as I do that our best years are ahead of us if we work together, I want to listen to you and to work for you. And I ask your vote for Carrie Ferguson, District 3.
Garrett, your closing statement, please.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming tonight. I have a really good relationship. I see the mayor and the mayor pro tem here. We work well together. We don't agree on everything. John Taylor is here. We worked together for 4 years. Great person. Very collegial environment. Troy's here. We have a good relationship. And hopefully we will have a very bold future city council and move the city forward. However, keep in mind one thing. This election really is our alma. I really believe that, about what direction we're going to go. And I'm going to leave you with this question. God forbid, what happens if Kim McCarthy and Jeff Vasquez get elected? You're going to need someone like me that will fight, that bring a gun to a fist fight and never surrender, never retreat on the residents, and defend this town that we love, this town that we call home, the town of San Juan Capistrano. I am your fighter, Derek Reed for District 3. Thank you very much.
Joyce, your closing statement, please.
Closing statement. I love this city. I am passionate. I'm educated. I'm smart. I'm street smart. And I want to do nothing more than to help this city get back to where it should be when I moved here 20 years ago. Personally, I think we need out with the old. We need some good, clean, fresh faces in there. Someone as passionate as me, and I promise you, I will not miss a voting session like some of these councils have done. I will be there at every voting session. I will be there at every council meeting because I'm so passionate about this city. God bless you all, and thank you for voting for Joyce.
All right, Troy, you get the last word, period. Your closing statement.
Being there matters, Joyce. And I want to go back to something that John said just briefly before I close. There are candidates who are boycotting a Chamber of Commerce candidates forum. And I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt. I came here from the airport. I cut a trip short to try to be here tonight to make this because it was important to me. But then I saw those very candidates who were refusing to participate tonight on a street corner advertising essentially that they're boycotting this event. We cannot expect positive leadership from candidates that won't engage in a positive way with the community while we're trying to make decisions about who to be in office. We love this town. We love raising our family here. We feel like we have been richly blessed far beyond what we deserve. I am committed to keeping San Juan Capistrano a fantastic place to raise families. Thank you for coming tonight, and please share what you've learned with your neighbors.
Well, candidates, on behalf of the San Juan Chamber of Commerce and all of our generous sponsors, we want to thank each candidate for taking the time out of their evening to be here with us. I want to thank the audience for coming out tonight. This is a very important election. Remember to vote on November 6th, 2018. Your vote does count. There will be an informal meet and greet until 8 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, candidates.